I've enjoyed a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, but I've never really been a fan, I guess you could say. But being Friday the 13th in October, it's a horror movie. Jason is a horror icon. I had to pick Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, is sometimes considered to be one of the best Friday the 13th movies. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that having watched this again, but it's the first one that has Jason as like a supernatural enemy instead of just a psychotic killer, you know, like it set him apart from Michael Myers, because Michael Myers was always supposed to just be like just a real guy. But no, this one sets Jason apart as kind of a reanimated, like, zombie corpse guy. In the very beginning, when they show him resurrected, you know, he's got worms eating his face and stuff, and jumps out of the grave, basically, and starts killing again. That opening scene is pretty entertaining, and probably the best part of the movie, actually. I think it sets up the movie really well. It tells you immediately, just as the title card comes up, that this is not going to be a completely serious movie. They took the concept of Jason Voorhees, this supposedly immortal killer, and ran with it. He is immortal. I mean, he came back from the dead. He got struck by lightning, and it's all very epic. And Tommy Jarvis, formerly played by Corey Feldman in Part 4, comes back and has to settle the score with Jason because Jason killed like his family members and stuff, and he just wants revenge, and he's haunted by Jason and whatever. Tommy Jarvis digs up Jason, and then he inadvertently like resurrects him, and then he spends the rest of the movie trying to bring Jason down and kill him again, or at least neutralize the Jason threat. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, you know, when it comes to horror movies and slasher movies in particular, it's all about the kills and stuff like that. And there is a pretty high kill count in this movie. I think it's like 18, possibly a 19th off screen. But the kills aren't particularly gory, and maybe there was a lot cut out. I don't know. Or maybe they just decided, like, hey, that's not going to be the focus of this. The focus of this is the menace of Jason going around killing people and, you know, coming back to Crystal Lake for revenge. Yeah, there's a lot of details I could share about this movie and tell you what makes it better than certain ones. And it certainly is better than, like, say, Part 5. But it doesn't have, like, Jason punching somebody's head off, like in Part 7. And it doesn't have the machete across the face like in Part 2, or the arrow through the neck like Part 1. I mean, yeah, the kills in here a lot of them are kind of like off screen. It's not particularly gratuitous. You know, in the very beginning, he punches a hole in a guy and has his heart, gripping his heart on the other side of the guy's body. Horseshack, by the way. Yeah, that's right. Ron Patillo from Welcome Back, Kotter. Who is really the only person I'd ever known before seeing this movie. I mean, I don't know who any of these other actors are. They might have gone on to do stuff that I know, but I ain't got time for research. I got tons of movies to do this October, man. Anyway, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It's a little more comedic than previous Jason entries. Eventually, Jason is overcome by the end, or at least, if not killed, then subdued enough to end the movie and, you know, maybe bring him back next year. I'm pretty sure they were cranking those movies out like one a year back in the 80s, because like I think the first one was like 1980 and this one is 1986 and it's Part 6. So, well, maybe there was a year gap in there somewhere. This one, notably, there's actually kids at the Camp Crystal Lake, whereas normally it's all you ever see is the counselors. You never see the kids. But this one, the kids are actually, well, I mean, they're not really a big part of the story, but, you know, they're there, and there's a point where you're thinking, oh my god, Jason's gonna kill all these, like, innocent little kids? Like, what the fuck? No, that's not how it's supposed to be. Jason's supposed to be killing all those teenagers who were too busy out having sex or whatever to take care of the kids. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill any kids. Yeah, you get your, like, local sheriff character. How many horror movies have a local sheriff in there? And you know, I noticed something in this movie that I noticed in a bunch of horror movies with the local sheriff thing. You know, small town, right? There's like sheriff and the deputy, sometimes a second deputy, and they're in this tiny little office, and like you've seen this in a billion horror movies, right? And they're like, oh my god, we don't have the manpower to investigate all these murders and stuff like that. But then they get to the crime scene, and there's like 4 billion fucking cops around. And, you know, all the lights going off and everything, and it's all atmospheric, and it's like, what are we looking at here? Oh, it looks like Jason struck again, and it's like, well, you only had 2 cops to prevent it, but you got, like, all these other guys that came in. Tommy Jarvis, who, you know, you remember Corey Feldman's role in Part 4, he comes back to destroy Jason once and for all. And Jason wants revenge on Camp Crystal Lake. They've changed the name of the town to Forest Green, and they've changed the name of the camp to Forest Green, and even the lake is Forest Green Lake. But it's the same thing all over again. He's going to the camp, and he's going to kill people. And he kills a lot of like random people in here, actually. Like these guys that are just out paintballing in the woods or whatever. He kills like 4 of them. Maybe 5, possibly 5. He kills like the gravedigger guy, the guy that works at the cemetery where he was originally buried. He kills a local sheriff. He kills like a teenage couple, another teenage couple, I think a 3rd teenage couple. I don't know, he kills a bunch of teenagers, and yeah, like I said, there's like 19 kills in this movie, man. Anyway, so the whole thing goes along like any other Friday the 13th movie does, and everybody gets killed off one by one, and then you get your final girl. In this case, you get the final girl and Tommy, and Jason is ambiguously deceased. Yeah. So, I mean, it's exciting enough. There's some legit kind of like creepy scares in there. There's a couple of like iconic shots in there. Jason getting resurrected. Jason standing on top of the RV that he just like crashed, and shots of him behind the window and stuff. And the cinematography is pretty good. The acting's actually not bad in here. You don't get a whole lot of character development in anybody, but they're well-rounded, well-fleshed-out characters, except for a couple of them are just there to die. So I'm going to give Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, a B-. It seems like one of the Friday the 13th movies where they actually tried to make a good movie. And they did, you know. I'm thinking now that I'm going to go back and watch Part 4, because I think that might be just a little bit better. But, you know, for now, Jason Lives, it's okay. So until the next October Horror-a-thon video, stay safe this Halloween, and everybody have a good one out there.